Alright, good morning. This is going to be my video on maintaining daily maintenance for our hot tub. We have a Sundance hot tub. It's about 400 gallons. A little disclaimer, putting this on YouTube, so I know it's going to be searchable for the world, so somebody might come across this that, if you find it useful, that's fine. But the main purpose that I'm doing this video is literally to show my mom and my sister how to maintain the hot tub while I'm on vacation. So it's not the most professional video that you're going to find out on the internet. But if you find it useful, that's great. But the main purpose is really just to get my mom and my sister through the week. And if you like it, hey, that's great. I'm happy for you. So jumping right in, I have, obviously this won't go to the general public, but this is for my mom and my sister. I'm leaving this behind whenever we're gone. And this basically is a written guide of everything that I'm going to cover in this video. So the video is a good companion to the written guide is a good companion to the video. Hopefully when I come back from vacation I don't have to drain the hot tub and start from scratch. Hopefully you guys can keep it good. But follow along with this and you should be good to go. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Spa Shock Oxidizer. It would be in the orange capped bottle here. This is going to be the one chemical that we're going to use that is not tested for in the test kit that I'm going to show you here in a bit. This chemical you use basically as needed, and as needed would be if you've just gone for a soak in the hot tub and got out of the hot tub, you're going to use this in the hot tub after you're done. You get out of the hot tub, you get yourself cleaned up or whatever, and then you come and open up this. You pour in one capful, and a capful is going to be to the inner orange ring here. Take it, dump it into the hot tub, start the jets, close the hot tub, and walk away from it. The hot tub will run for another 20 minutes. It'll mix this stuff in, and that's all you need to do. The purpose of this is whenever you're in the hot tub, your body kind of puts off yuck into the hot tub. This cleans it up and allows the other chemicals that we're going to go over to work more effectively. So you use this after you're done with the hot tub, good to go. Alright, so moving into testing, let me explain the test kit. First thing is the syringe. This didn't come with the test kit. I got this at Tractor Supply. I think it was like $1 or something like that. They're cheap, but these are great tools to have for maintaining the hot tub. And I use a chemical test kit, 5-way test kit. Although really I only use 4 ways because I don't use bromine, I use chlorine. I have learned to use the chemical tester kits instead of the test strips. It has saved me hundreds of dollars at this point because the test strips are so inaccurate that they were calling for chemicals every day. Every day I was putting chemicals in my hot tub. Using this test kit, I am using way less chemicals, and it's well worth the money. It takes a little bit longer to test this way, but it's much better. So we have the syringe. I use a Pull Master is the name of the test kit that I'm using. I'm going to open it up here and show you the inside. You see there are 5 vials in here that have colored caps. I have the instructions printed and taped to the lid of the test kit. For my mom and my sister though, follow the upper two. The bottom one is a little bit more in detail than what you actually need to worry about while I'm on vacation. And then we have the actual test tubes that we're going to use, and I'll show you in the video. So we have the chemicals here that we're going to use, the test tubes, the caps, and the instructions all in here. So we're going to jump right into how to actually do the testing. So Nathan, if you want to come a little bit closer, you can actually show them what I'm doing here.
If I can definitely do that.
Okay. So the first thing I usually do, whenever you look at this, you want to look at it with the little tube on the left and the big tube on the right. The little tube is multi-purpose. We use chlorine, so we use this side of the tube. There's another chemical that you can use in a hot tub called bromine. That's on the other side. We don't use bromine, we use chlorine, so I always look at it this way. Little tube on the left, big tube on the right. Little tube, you'll see a little fill line here. We have it noted in the instructions. The big tube, there are 2 fill lines, the upper one and the lower one, and I'll show you the differences here coming up. So Nathan, you got me focused there?
Yep.
Alright, so good to go. So I set this down, and where did I put my syringe? Over here. You're going to take the syringe, going to fill it right up to the top line. If you get too much, it's not a big deal. You're just going to spit it back into the hot tub anyway. So we're going to test chlorine first. We take the syringe here, and we're going to fill the chlorine side up to the little fill line, which is right. Hopefully Nathan can get a good view of that. Okay, next thing, we take the solution number 1, yellow cap. This is to test chlorine. It's indicator solution for chlorine and bromine test, but it's solution number 1, has a big yellow one on it, yellow cap. We're going to put 5 drops of this into this vial. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll see the solution turning yellow. The trick is, how yellow is it? Chlorine in the hot tub has a tendency to go down, and so over time you'll see on the scale, the darker it is, the more chlorine you have, the lighter it is, the less chlorine you have. The trick is that you want to match this color with the scale on the left, and if it is out of the ideal range, which is 2 to 3, you want to add chlorine. So I'm going to hold this up to the daylight. In non-direct daylight, you kind of get a false reading here. So I always hold it out here, up toward the sky, and you can see this is still kind of somewhere in here, probably closer to the 2 than the 1. So I'm going to leave it go today. Tomorrow, though, I'm probably going to need to add chlorine. So that's it for the chlorine test. We're good on chlorine. We don't need to add it. If we did need to add chlorine, this is the bottle that we use for the chlorine. So if it dips down below and you need to add chlorine, this cap is a little bit different than the cap on the oxidizer, but the principle is still the same. On this cap, what I normally do is add about a 1/3 capful of chlorine. This stuff is extremely potent. You don't need to add a lot. If you add more than a 1/3 of a cup, I don't know, you're going to turn green. Weird stuff's going to happen to you. I don't know, but just do a 1/3 capful in the hot tub. If this is the last thing you're adding for the day, go ahead and turn the jets on, close the lid, walk away. If it's the first thing and you got more testing to do, which we do, just throw it in there, leave it sit, and we'll get to the final step of turning the hot tub on here in a little bit. So that's the chlorine. Next thing we're going to test for is pH. pH is going to use this scale here. Its tendency is it's going to get darker on its own as time goes on. So the ideal range you see here is right in the middle, 7.6. If it starts to get a little bit darker than that, you're going to want to add pH decreaser, which we use this low and slow granular pH decreaser. I'll get to that here at the end. But that is what we're testing for this one. So for this test, we're going to grab our syringe and lay down over here. We're going to fill the vial to the top indicator line. The top indicator line is for pH. I'll show you. Top line right there is where I filled the line to. So this test, the first thing you want to do is you want to add 1 drop of solution number 4, the green cap. The purpose of that is this actually removes the chlorine from the water, because the test won't work if it has chlorine in it. So 1 drop is all it takes, and it removes all the chlorine from that vial of water. Next step, take solution number 2, red cap. This is for testing pH. We're going to put 5 drops of the red cap into this big vial. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like we did with the chlorine, we're going to cap it with the red cap. We're going to give it a shake. We're going to put on my glasses because I'm blind without them. And then we're going to hold this up to the daylight again, and we're going to compare. So, comparing now, ideal is 7.6. It's probably a little bit darker than that, but that's okay, because like I said, the tendency for pH is it's going to rise. I'm okay with it being below 7.6. If it's down here, you're fine. You don't need to do anything. It's only if it would be darker and above the 7.6 that you would need to add the pH decreaser. So we're okay here at 7.2, which is what that's showing. As we use the hot tub and stuff, it'll increase over time, and we'll eventually have to add it. But that's the thing. So now, if we did need to add pH decreaser, which we don't, again, this is the pH decreaser, and again, just like the chlorine, basically it's the same thing. You use a cap, 1/3 cap full of this stuff, throw it in there, and you're done. If this is the last chemical that you're using for the day, go ahead, turn on the jets. They'll turn off in 20 minutes. Close the lid, go inside. You're fine. But we're going to do one more test. So I haven't added anything. I'm not going to turn the hot tub on. That's it for now. So now, before we do the next test, and I talk about the next test, we're going to go ahead and clear the test tubes. So all you need to do is pull the caps off, give it a toss out in the yard, dip it in the hot tub, rinse them out. Got clear test tubes now. Alright, so the next test and final test that we're going to do is for alkalinity. The alkalinity has a tendency to go down over time, but it does it so slowly that I don't test for it every day. If I'm using the hot tub on a regular basis, I'll do it every other day, maybe every 3 days if I'm feeling lazy. If I'm not using the hot tub on a regular basis, testing alkalinity once a week is going to be just fine. It'll get you through. That's not a problem. So alkalinity, I'll show you how to test it here in a second, but it does not use a color scale. Nathan, you want to pay attention to what you're doing here.
Oh, I have you.
Alright, so alkalinity doesn't use a color scale. We're going to test it totally different. But it does use this vial. It's just, you're not going to compare it to anything on this vial. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take the final bit of water in our syringe. We're going to fill this test tube to the lower line right here. This is for the alkalinity test. I'm going to do that right now. A little bit of excess water in the test tube, or in the syringe. We just shoot it over there, no problem. Alright, so the first thing we want to do to start testing alkalinity, we get our number 4, green cap again, alkalinity, same way with pH. You want the chlorine out of the water. 1 drop into here removes the chlorine from the test water. That's all it takes. So the next thing we want to do, we want to add 2 drops of solution number 5. This is basically our coloring solution, which is going to show us how high the alkalinity is when it's paired with another solution. So this is blue cap, 2 drops for the alkalinity test. Okay, so what I'm going to do after I add that, I'm just going to swirl this around a little bit. You don't need to cap it. But Nathan, if you can show them there, it's got like a really light purple blue color. I'm not big on my colors. Maybe it's a lavender. I don't know. I know art was not my strong subject. But anyway, it's like a bluish purplish. You can see it up there. Kind of a pretty blue, really. So here's where I'm going to deviate from the cap. The cap tells you the allowable range is anywhere between 80 and 120. What we really worry about is the 80. If it drops below 80, we're going to add chemicals. We don't care how high it goes because its natural tendency is it's going to come down on its own anyway. So the only thing we're going to test for is the 80. We're not going to worry above that. So it's very simple to test for the 80. All you do, take this solution number 3, white cap. It's the final bottle in there. We haven't touched it yet. White cap solution. We're going to put 8 drops in there. 8, 80. Basically, 1 drop tests for 10 parts per million of the alkalinity. So we're going to put 8 in there, and we're going to see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we're going to put 8 in there. Now we're going to swirl it around. And you see nothing happened. It is still the blue, lavender, whatever color that is. Again, I didn't do well in art class. Nothing happened. We're not going to do anything. The trick is, if we would have put that 8th drop in there, or 7th drop, or 6th drop, and this blue would have gone from blue to clear, and it's kind of neat. I mean, it really does. That final drop will just snap it and you swirl it, and then all of a sudden it's no longer blue, it's clear. At that point then you would need to add the alkalinity increaser, and that's going to be the final chemical that I show you. And that's in the purple cap, total alkalinity increaser. And with this one, the dosing is the same as the orange cap, the oxidizer that I showed you at the beginning. Fill it 1 capful to the inner ring, dump it in the hot tub. If this is the last chemical you put in, which generally it should be if you've gone through all the testing anyway, because you've done all the testing, then you turn the hot tub on, close it up, and go and walk away because you're done. So final step then, we're going to get rid of this solution, same as we did the last one. Dump it in the yard, rinse it out, and then we're just going to put it back in the box. It doesn't need to dry or anything before you put it in the box. It dries on its own. The box is vented, and that's it. So that is how we maintain a hot tub on a daily basis. You're going to want to check the chlorine and the pH daily. If you miss a day, the world's not going to end. If you use the hot tub, make sure you use the oxidizer. The alkalinity, for the length of time that I'm going to be on vacation, if you miss it, it's not that big a deal, but you might want to check it just to be sure. All that should help keep the water clear. Nathan, if you get a shot of the water, you can see that the water of our hot tub is extremely clear. Since I've gone to this chemical tester, I hardly have to add anything to the tub. For just example, the pH decreaser, I was adding it literally on a daily basis based on what I was seeing on the test strips. Now I might add it once a week, and just the cost in chemicals alone, it's just hundreds of dollars, because chemicals are not cheap. Anyway, that's it. We'll see you when we get home.